for it. You got Fitz on Skype for us, so I appreciate you, Mike. Yeah, let's
You
get
got
on
Larry.
here.
You got Larry.
Yeah, he's coming on. All right,
Larry.
yeah, he's
Hey,
Larry's on now. Larry's on now.
What about the
Mike? Larry's on now.
Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy, what's going on? But hold on, I was before. Hold on a second. What about the eBay? I mean the YouTube checks you said were coming through.
Oh,
last time
we'll talk about. Let's talk about it after the interview, Mike. You know, we'll take care of it.
You always say that.
Yeah, we got some upstairs that we're going to take care
checks.
Of. Yeah, checks. Oh, not necessarily checks. But
are we getting paid for this bullshit or not?
Let's talk. Look, we got these little ducks. We got these little ducks upstairs.
I don't know. You're going to pay me. You're going to pay me in ducks.
They're going to be worth a lot of money.
They're going to be worth shit.
No. We'll talk about. Look, I got ducks. I want to see I got shirts. I got the shirts upstairs.
You know, I don't know how to do this. I don't know nothing about YouTube and how they pay people. But all I know, I hasn't gotten any money. It's been over a year.
I know. I'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Let's introduce our guest.
Sorry about that.
Owner of Ohio Hatchet Wrestling, Mr. Larry Bailey. Thank you for joining us tonight.
It's an honor to be here, guys.
Oh, thank you. You seen some of the videos?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, we were big fans of deathmatch wrestling. Love to have deathmatch figures on on our show. Like to learn the ins and outs of deathmatch wrestling
and the promoting,
of course. So much, you guys don't get enough, credit. You guys don't get enough props. You guys, sleepless nights, all the drama backstage, so much stuff. We thank you. We love what you guys do, and love to learn from you guys.
Absolutely. Wait, you're just saying independent wrestlers and fans cause drama?
All day long.
I don't believe it. It's impossible.
Especially in some of these forums, man. So we won't name any. Let's get to it. How's your night going?
Pretty good. I'm off work, so everything's golden. I got Starfield. You guys play video games?
Not really, no.
No, Starfield came out, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm a Tetris about that.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I mean, with work and all, I don't have much time to. And I wish I did though. I grew up on video games, Nintendo 64 when Dreamcast came out.
Okay.
Big fans of it. But yeah, anymore. I'm married now, so I don't have no time. I wish I did. Just wrestling.
Yeah, it keeps you busy. So
absolutely. So Larry, I got to ask you, what was your first introduction to wrestling? Like your first memory of it?
Ric Flair, probably in '77. Yeah, I remember watching what was it, Georgia Championship Wrestling, probably back then. Then yeah, '77, I'd say.
Oh wow.
Well, what territory did you live in?
What's that?
What territory did you live in?
Well, I've always lived in Ohio, so that's what was on TV when I was a young kid.
Georgia.
Yeah.
But did you know about WWF?
Not back then.
You didn't read the magazines?
No, not at 7. I just watched TV and we did the moves in the yard. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I do distinctly remembering Ric Flair. Like he's always been one of my favorites since then, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, of course.
See, that's a long age. That's an age of no internet, and if you lived in an area, unless you read wrestling magazines, you didn't know anything other than where you lived.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I used to read the wrestling magazines. I'm in the WWF territory, but I would know about all the other guys. And I'd be so excited when a new guy would come. And I'd read the magazines and see the Sheik, Abdullah the Butcher. And I could only dream to be at some of these shows.
Yeah. And actually, they came to the local high school. Yeah, I remember Flair and those guys coming to our local high school when I was younger, too.
Wow.
Good times. So what was the first time you attended a pro wrestling show?
Oh, wow. Nothing really stands out except, Pondo's IWA East Coast. So Pondo ran shows in South Charleston, about an hour and a half for me. So I used to go down to Pondo shows quite a bit. So.
You went later. Then you discovered wrestling, and it took you a long time to go to a show.
Not long. I went to the WCW, WWF, like when Sting used to come down from the rafters. And
you went to you're talking about indie. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but indie shows, I've always steered more towards the independent shows than the big shows, I think.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, my first show live was a WCW show. You bringing up Sting? He was my first. I went to Nitro, and him and Macho Man took on Hogan and Disciple, and it was pretty cool. For my first time being there, I was a kid, a young kid.
Yeah,
and seeing Sting come down was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do. WCW came to Athens in 1997, and they all went to like the bar uptown, so you can get everybody's autographs and hang out. So I actually got to shoot pool and drink beer with Diamond Dallas Page that night, so that was pretty cool.
Oh,
Wow.
That's cool.
That's
they were
pretty
accessible.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was so hard to catch them.
It's hard to meet a wrestler back in the day.
Back in the day.
So
do you remember which IWA East Coast was your first show?
2007 or 2008. So that's when I really talked upon. Actually, I'm lying to you guys because JCW, when I used to go to the gatherings in Toledo, that was 2001. So yeah, that's the first year I met Pondo was in 2001 at the Gathering of the Juggalos.
in Toledo?
Yes.
Oh, I was at that one.
Okay.
That's the first time I met Necro Butcher.
They had the frogs everywhere.
Yeah, and then they started wrecking the frogs.
The
And then they wrecked the stage at the main event.
Yeah. And then the riot. Were you there the night of the riot? It was
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah. Okay. And that was all over a horse bit some kid on the head because he had, the spider dreads that Twisted used to have.
Yeah.
And he was walking by a police horse and the horse chewed on his hair. He punched the horse instinctively, and then that started the whole tear gas and all that stuff. I do remember that.
Yeah. That was that Necro Butcher was there at that show?
I don't remember Necro being there. I know Vampiro was there that night because I was in the elevator with Vampiro, and Sabu was definitely there because I met Sabu that weekend.
No,
I don't remember Necro Butcher being there.
He didn't wrestle. He drove the Pondo and those guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
SUV. And I had known Pondo from CZW, and he's the one that told me about this gathering juggle. He said, you should come out. So I went out with my buddy Hector, and we're standing out near in the arena where they had the show, and I just met a guy. This guy, I'm like, he said, I wrestle, and I'm like, oh, you wrestling on the show? I didn't even know who he was. He said, well, yeah. I'm just with these guys, man. And then I had a truck, I had a SUV, and I took everybody, and then after that, he became known quickly.
Yeah,
Necro skyrocketed quick. But yeah, he was there.
The wrestler helped him. Remember, he was in the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
We were there when they taped it.
Necro was in Ring of Honor at the time, right? If I remember right.
No, he was in CZW at the time.
Was he? Okay.
The Wrestler taping was before a CZW show. Were you there?
Yeah.
And they used the crowd as the fans.
Okay.
The crazy story about it is when Necro came out to do his scene with Mickey Rourke, he saw me and he said, here, Mike. He handed me his he took his glasses, his slippers, flip-flops that he had, and he had a bathrobe on. And then he took that off and went into the ring. I held it while he was doing the scene. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's surreal.
And then I got a picture with Mickey Rourke.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That was a night they didn't let out till like 2 or 3 in the morning. The fans were getting rowdy. That everyone was getting mad. They just wanted that to end, to get the show going.
Yeah, that was a good experience.
Yeah.
Taping there. Mm-hmm.
So
we had seen scenes of that movie before it came out.
Before it came out, yeah.
That's something.
That was nuts. Crazy. So you start going to these IWA East Coast shows. What made you start getting, involved in the pro wrestling business? What made you start wanting to run shows?
I used to film for a local independent here, and I didn't like the way he was doing things. And me and a group of the wrestlers got together and talked about it. But then things fell apart. It was supposed to be a partnership, and then the night of my first show, it was solely on me. So yeah, things fell apart with everybody else chipping in money, like they should have that night, and so it was just me after that.
Oh, so a group of guys all agreed to do something without a contract, and it fell through.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and they were wrestling oriented people.
Yeah, handshake deals are awesome, aren't they?
I got a Pondo team you might be interested in.
Yeah, Pondo helped me out a lot. I don't even know if he wants me telling people that, but yeah, I love Pondo. Pondo is to me, he's a great friend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's a good guy. Yeah, yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah.
So your first show, Ohio Hatchet Wrestling Origins, you have Pondo and Viper in the main event. What made you, any other, was there any other thoughts about putting anything else other than main event, or was that your first, this is going to be my main?
Actually, Necro Butcher was supposed to be there. There was a blizzard that night. Like, whatever could go wrong on the first show went wrong.
Oh God!
Like, there was a blizzard. I was expecting 10 people to fucking show up, and I think we pulled 130 people on the first show, which isn't bad, I don't think, for a blizzard. And it was NFL playoff weekend. I never thought about that. Like, it was the night I could get the venue. So I booked the venue, and then I'm like, well, fuck. Like, it's NFL playoffs. It's just going to be disastrous.
Oh, yeah.
But it actually, it did better than I thought. People were owed money that night. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I owed people money that night. Actually, from my first few shows.
Oh man, you okay?
Yeah. So
you're a braver man than me. Or him.
Like I said, it was supposed to be a partnership. Things fell through, and yeah, I didn't want to cancel. That's the last thing I wanted to do, is cancel a show a week before or the day of, because when the blizzard hit, my wife was even like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, fuck it. If the ring can get here, we're going to at least set up the ring and see what happens,
And all the wrestlers made it,
except Necro. If I remember, I think Necro Butcher's the only one that could make it. He was traveling quite far. Everybody else was pretty much within an hour and a half drive.
Oh yeah. Viper lives in Rutland, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was his ring, so I used Viper's ring.
Oh, Viper wanted the money. Yeah. I know Viper. Yeah, Viper's like, I'm bringing the ring, and we're gonna have a show.
Nothing was stopping him.
Yeah. Wow. So it happened. Okay.
Yeah. So you had a good. You had Too Tough Tony, Madman Pondo, Court, Viper. You said Necro.
Yeah, Elkview Adam, Colton Collins. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Elkview Adam. Yeah.
Yeah, because they did the four corners of the building Texas Bull Rope match. So it was a decent show, but I didn't know anybody at the time, so it was not filmed. I wish it was filmed, because it was a great show, actually.
Oh man.
But I didn't meet Smart Mark until after that show. And then Smart Mark did all my shows after that one.
Oh, okay. Wow. So
what was your favorite memory from that first show?
To tell you the truth, I was a ball of nerves, man. So I don't remember a lot of the show. I remember puking. So the show took pretty much 8 months to a year to basically build contacts and all that, rent the venue, and 8 months of everything just fell on me that night, and I went outside and just started puking my guts out.
Oh man. Was it about the money?
No. I mean, that was part of it for sure. It was stressful. It's very stressful booking a show, setting it up, wondering if everybody's going to make it. So I think the blizzard, more than anything, affected like my nerves that night.
Wow. You see, that's why. Yeah. He had the weather. You always got to work in the winter. You got to worry about the weather and the playoffs. It must have been January.
Yeah, it was January 10th, 2009.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
You're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So then you get through your first show. Do you how much time did you give yourself to run the second show?
Second show was March 21st, if I remember right, and we brought in Thumbtack Jack for that show.
Thumbtack Jack and Pondo, right? That was amazing.
Yeah, that was the 10,000 Thumbtacks, 1,000 Jacks match.
Sheesh.
He was in IWA too.
Yeah, he was.
Well, we split him. I don't know what I'm supposed to say and what I'm not supposed to say, but
we know about that. I was there. In the Thumbtack Jack. So, a little problem he had with a certain. Yeah, don't worry about it. We gonna have
CZW, Pondo, and me and Ian split Thumbtack Jack.
Right. Yeah.
Airfare. And then that's when him and Ian got into it.
Right. He rode him around with Pondo, but he's a good guy. In fact, the funny thing about that is he came to Chicago, and then I went over to Ian's house, and I think Masada and Nick Gage were there. We all went to McDonald's.
Okay.
We were waiting to go to the show. I was getting a couple guys to the show because I flew in and had a rental car. And I had just met Thumbtack Jack that day. And I guess Masada was there, and then Nick, it was a tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they went to his place, then they went to CZW.
CZW and then Pondo show, right? I'm trying to remember the order. I thought it was Ian, CZW, Pondo show, then my show.
Okay, probably that. Yeah, he was here for a while.
Because I picked up Thumbtack Jack at Pondo's house and brought him up here, and then I'm the one that took him to the airport when he went back home.
Okay. Yeah, he's a humble guy. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
How was your experience working with Thumbtack?
He's like you said, he's a good kid, and I actually did an interview with him. That was the only interview I did at the time because I was going to start a series of 15 minutes with Thumbtack Jack, Pondo, and all that, but I just did the Thumbtack Jack one, and everything just gets hectic around showtime, and people don't have time to sit down for interviews and stuff. So the day of show is like the worst time, really, I think, to interview people and get them to commit to an hour interview or something like that before the show.
I saw that interview a while back because I was looking at Thumbtack Jack interviews because there's not much out there on him. And I saw that it was like 15. He was talking about traveling and second time coming to America.
And stat porn,
XPW, XW. He was just talking about the difference in between the German crowd and that was a good interview. You did that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anybody out there watching this, watch that. It's very informative with Thumbtack Jack. Yeah.
But he actually wanted me to do more extreme stuff. Well, I know Thumbtack because of the Saw Death match with Drake. So that's what kind of turned me on to him. And when he came over, he wanted to do like some really extreme shit. But the venue I had at the time, I couldn't use him as a human pincushion, basically, like he did in CZW. So then since his name was Thumbtack Jack, I'm like, well, let's do Thumbtacks and Jacks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's creative.
He was good. For a short period of time. He's kind of like Mondo, had a short career, but everything he did was interesting.
Was it? Yeah, for sure.
So now, like your first show, because he's running shows too now. Did the veterans? So you had all those veterans there. Were they kind of helping you and guiding you? And I guess you weren't like trying to be the big boss guy. You were kind of like working with them. Tell us about that.
Pondo was my locker room guy because, like I said, Pondo's been in the business so long. So I ran, the stuff outside around the fans, merch and all that. Pondo was my locker room guy. So I gave him the basics of what I wanted to happen that night, and then Pondo worked with everybody to get everything rolling on that end.
Now, did you have to tell people like Pondo is the locker room guy, or did he just take over? And
yeah, I went back and made everybody aware. Hey, if you have anything you need to talk about, talk to Pondo, and he'll relay it to me or whatever. So, but yeah, Pondo.
No problem, nothing.
Pondo is my guy.
That's a good one to have in control of something.
Yeah, Pondo, of course.
And Viper too. I would have trusted Viper too.
Yeah,
Viper's
he's a good guy.
I mean, Viper and Pondo are good people, man. Especially, with Viper, if somebody said they got a problem with Viper, I'm not going to believe it. I got to hear the story. You know what I mean? He's like one of those guys that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, really good guy. Actually, he used to do a 4th of July show. I think it was a 2-day show, maybe. So he was the one that somebody turned me on to that had a ring because I was looking for a ring in the area. A lot of promoters in this area don't help each other out. That's just the way it is. So Viper ran shows about an hour south of me, and then there was Pondo an hour and a half. So those are the guys I just chose to work with, and they were willing to work with me.
I think promoters working together is better than fighting each other.
I agree too, but there used to, I'm sure you guys remember the indie message board, right?
There's a lot of,
it was all drama. And because it was so easy to post anonymous and just bash on each other, I always hated the indie message board. So
now they do the Facebook and they don't care. They want their name out there. They're not even ashamed.
Yeah.
People put stuff that I would never think of putting out there. I don't want to get any heat with anybody. Nobody ever has anything bad to say about me. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy the stuff they put out there.
Yeah. So you ran the show. Did you kind of are you kind of guy that lets people do what they want, or you kind of like if two guys I trust you guys to put on a good show, or
oh yeah. I never really, like I said, I would tell them who would be going over or whatever, and then they would work out the details in between. So and then I'd set kind of a basic time limit, like give me 8 minutes, 12 minutes, yada yada yada, just to keep things scheduled. So we would do 4 matches, an intermission for concessions and merch, and then the final 3 matches is how that was the basic format of the shows.
Oh, okay.
So I believe I seen on the second show you had the CZW Iron Man title match with Sammy and Mox.
That was the 3rd show. That was Collision Course.
Collision Course. Okay.
Yeah.
And how'd you pull that off?
That one was a mess. Because, okay, I was young in the business and I would listen to everybody else's feedback. So somebody came up to me and said, you know what would be awesome? If you ran a show Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, that did not work out. I think there was 32 people there. Because you got to think everybody has planned 6 months, 8 months in advance what they're going to do Memorial Day weekend. So throw a show in the middle of everything, it just didn't work out. It was a beautiful day out. Nobody wanted to be inside a building watching wrestling that day. But that was a damn good match. Mox and Sammy. They beat the shit out of each other.
Wow.
And yeah, that one wasn't filmed either. Somebody came and filmed it, but I never did see the footage of that one.
And that was for the CZW title?
Yes.
So you announced it as a CZW title match?
Yes, it was. How was it listed? I can't remember.
That's pretty cool.
Wasn't it Iron Man? It was
an Iron Man title.
An hour-long match, if I remember right.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like when I see a title defended in another area.
Oh yeah, that's always great.
Huh. But you knew there wasn't going to be a title change on that show, right?
And that's when, well, I don't know if everybody knows who Ricky was before Ricky, right? When he was tag team with Vincent Nothing.
I'm sorry, who was it again?
Ricky Shane Page.
Oh yeah.
Like, what was his old gimmick before that?
A biker, a motocross guy.
The mask.
The Spawn mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were my tag team champs actually.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Faith in Nothing. That's what they were called.
There you go.
Oh, that's right. He's from Ohio. Yeah. Man, you had a lot of guys that made it big. That's good.
That's true. Yeah, Mox and Eric Ryan's blowing up. I think he was at Collision Course because he came in with some guys, but Eric didn't wrestle that night. M-Dog was there that night. I do remember M-Dog showing up. Yeah, there was a lot of CZW guys in the house that night that just showed up.
Oh wow.
Well, that's good.
How was it with working with Mox?
I didn't talk to him much that night. I don't like to bother the guys, but that's when he was with tag team with Sammy called the Switchblade Conspiracy. Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Huh. So that was their CZW thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Mox was awesome. But I mean, like I said, I didn't bother him too much. But I met him through a guy named Josh Hayes. He used to run Mad Pro Wrestling in what was it? Wasn't Chillicothe? It was near Chillicothe. It's Circleville, Ohio. So Josh ran that, and Mox, I think, was his champion. That's how I met Mox.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember when he came to CZW. That was something else.
Oh yeah.
I never thought he would be as big as he was. I mean,
Were you there at the WWE show where he debuted in a dark match? He had pink hair.
No.
Pretty cool.
Wow.
Good times. So much has changed since that period with indie wrestling.
Yeah.
I feel like, it would be, now you see everyone everywhere. I feel like back then you would see, some guys in certain companies and, I just think they're all over the place now, which is cool,
Yeah. Well, it is awesome to see these guys on TV now that we grew up like watching in bingo halls, like Sami Zayn when he was El Generico, and you have Orange Cassidy he was one of the ants, right? Orange Ant.
Oh yeah.
Chikara.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And then he was in CZW. I think he was the Jersey. I forget their name, but it's something with the Jersey.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I was big into Chikara back then. I wanted some of the Chikara guys so bad, but I didn't know who they were to contact them. So I was a huge
okay.
Ultramanus Black. I really wanted Ultramanus Black back then.
Did you ever come to Philadelphia to any CZW or TODs or anything?
Just the one with when we brought Thumbtack Jack in. I was with those guys that weekend, and I went to the CZW arena that weekend with Thumbtack Jack and Pondo. Because we went to that Monster Mania. That was Monster Mania weekend also. So we did the Monster Mania thing. Pondo did a seminar, and then we went over to the CZW show and all that weekend.
Oh wow! Was that the match he had with Danny Havoc?
Yes.
For the UVU belt.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And Pondo was on the CZW show?
No, we were just together. I don't think Pondo was on the show that night, but we were all together. So, of course, we went to the show. So, me and Pondo, I think, if I remember, I just hung out backstage for the show.
Okay, that's right. Okay, now I remember that. Pondo always go to that chiller, that Monster Festival in he did a
Cherry
seminar.
Hill.
It was like the or something.
Yes, Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, wow.
I think I picked him up from the thing and brought him to the arena. No.
Did you pick us up? Because I know we were at the hotel. I can't remember how we got over to.
Somebody picked you up. I think it might have been me.
Okay.
You didn't. You got a ride there with somebody, right?
Yes.
That was probably me. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God. All right. That's crazy, man. I'm all over the place.
Mike's all over the place.
All right. Yeah. I remember that. He did his seminar, and then I picked him up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
I'm surprised they haven't ran any shows at that hotel where they run the horror convention. That's a pretty pretty big venue, and
it costs too much money. It's a
so?
hotel ballroom.
Probably, yeah. Like renting a building cost a lot. I got lucky on the one I had. It was an old National Guard armory. So here's the thing about that building. I guess one of the guys on the committee of the building, his son ran a promotion. They didn't want me there from day one. So the first time I rented the building, it was $200. The second time,
wow,
$400 the second time. Then the third time was $600. So basically, they were pricing me out of the building. Is what happened with that. I love that building. I loved it. It's now a church. So it's crazy.
Viper had a good building in that Rutland.
Yeah, I did JC's memorial show in Rutland at that. What do they call it? It was basically a big gymnasium.
Right, but it's really nice for the size of that town. It's a good.
It is, but there's no cell phone reception or anything. That's why I couldn't get it filmed live because there was no service. Nobody had service to text people to let them know they were at the show. So I remember we were going down, and I think 20 minutes outside of Rutland, you basically had to put your phone away. You're not getting any service in Rutland or around Rutland.
Yeah, it's way out in the middle of nowhere.
wow, really.
So that was the time I met Joe Bailey was at JC's memorial show.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's how DJ's farm is sometimes.
Right.
Like it's hard to get reception. You have to go, hold your phone up. You finally get it. Sheesh.
Any crazy events with fans? Because a lot of the hardcore fans, especially down there, they don't know how to act. Like the East Coast people kind of know how to act.
Well,
Northeast, they're going to do nothing really.
The worst thing was it wasn't at a deathmatch show. My rebirth show, this guy came in, and of course he'd be the one causing issues. This dude weighed like probably 375, 400 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he walked in, I'm like, that's a dude probably I wouldn't want to fuck with, So of course he's the one that showed his ass, and he tried to sue me. So what happened was, I think it was the Day Brothers were tag teaming against the Bastard Sons. And at the time, the Bastard Sons was Cole Cash and Brian Cross. So they did a spot off the top to the outside. And his kids were warned several times. They were leaning on a barricade. I didn't really want kids up front. He said he would take responsibility for his kids. They kept leaning on a barricade. And I kept going over and saying, I really don't want them on a barricade. Something could happen. And of course, when they did their spot, they barely bumped the barricade. One of the boys fell on his ass on the floor. That guy picks up the barricade and starts throwing it at the wrestlers and just acting a fool. Do you guys remember Bildo? Bildo, he ran around with Viper.
We talk about that guy.
Yeah. Okay. He came out of nowhere and just broke dude's nose. It was kind of funny, actually. So, because when you start shit with a wrestler, the whole locker room is going to clear out and defend the wrestlers. So
worst thing you can do.
We got him outside, and he was big and bad until he got his nose broke, and then he called the cops, and he made up a big story that we jumped him during the show. Luckily, the show was being filmed, and all I had to do was take the footage to the police, show them the footage of what happened, and everything was dropped. But I really got lucky that my shows were filmed that night, because that lawsuit probably would have stuck because he got his nose broke and everything. So,
wow.
So I think that's the worst thing that ever happened on one of my shows that I've ever seen. So nobody really got injured that bad on Death in the Valley that I remember. Of course, 40 panes of glass. How are you not going to get hurt? But it was nothing extreme. I do remember Jake telling me like 3 months later he was still getting glass out of his back from that show.
Oh.
And it took me 3 days. Took 3 days to clean up all that glass. I do remember that, because you're looking at 800 pounds of glass. So it took me 3 days to clean it up. Then we did the next show, which was Higher Ground, which had Shima Zion and what was his name? He worked in CZW and had the gimmick Ego Fantastico. So they were doing spots in the ring for the main event, and glass was still falling from the rafters 3 months later. It's like, I just thought that was so cool that 3 months after the show, there's still glass in the building.
Oh, wow.
That was, and that's on YouTube, that match.
It is. Yeah, it is now. So the big thing back then that pissed me off back then is Smart Mark releases the DVDs and we split the sales. Those things were on torrent sites like mad. And I actually had to contact like LimeWire, all those, and get my shit taken down, because we were losing so much money on that at the time. Now I don't care. It's been 13 years. If people want to watch it, I'm all about them uploading it and watching it. But at the time, it just sucked, because that's revenue that helps for future shows that I was missing out on. Because I think that show got downloaded over like 3,000 times off of a torrent site. So.
Oh yeah, that's a famous match. I was at that match, and it was called Death in the Valley.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it was a tournament, and man, that was a really good tournament. Toby won it.
JC won it.
Who?
JC Bailey.
I thought Toby won it.
No, it was JC and Drake in the finals.
Toby was there. Wax was there. Freak Show was there.
Drake
Younger.
Oh, Toby didn't win it. Okay, Toby
didn't make it past the first round, because actually he faced JC in the first round.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get all these tournaments mixed up. And Wax and Viper had a really good match, right? Is that show?
Yeah, they did the wasn't it the tubs of glass and lemon juice?
Yeah, they were landing hard, man.
Yeah.
That was a good show. Yeah. And then that JC Bailey Drake match with pains of glass. Now, where did you get all that glass?
So everybody thinks I spent a lot of money on glass, and I got that for $0. So
wow.
So a guy in McConnellsville, which is about 45 minutes away from me, I was just looking on Craigslist I didn't even know what the main event was going to be. A guy was tearing down a greenhouse. I contacted him, asked him how much he wanted for the glass. He told me if I came and helped him tear down the greenhouse, I could have all the glass for free.
Wow.
So yeah, I got, and yeah, I've seen people post on YouTube like, I heard he paid $4,000 for all that glass, and I'm like, I don't know where people get all that, but yeah. So
when Bailey and Drake found out what kind of match they were in, were they excited about all that glass? Were they trying to like, all right, we're gonna go nuts? Were they excited? They must have been excited.
JC really was. Yeah, JC was stoked about everything. I had talked to JC like a month and a half leading up to the show, and he was always calling me, telling me how honored he was to be on my show, which didn't make sense to me. I'm a young promotion. You know, and at that point, I never knew nobody put JC over for deathmatch. I did not know that at the time, but I think Ian had planned to, or CZW had planned to, but then when I put JC over, they didn't. It might have been Ian. I think Ian had plans to put him over at his tournament, but then when I made him champ, Ian didn't. If I remember right, I could be mistaken on that.
Yeah, but they were so. When did they know? When did they know you had that much glass for them in that match?
Like I said, I think it was about 2 months before the show. I try to set things up 2 months in advance.
And they were like, "We're going through everything."
Yeah, JC for sure. But I did not know this. Drake's afraid of heights, and I didn't know that. So the final spot was the scaffolding spot. I did not know Drake was afraid of heights. I don't think he even knew there was a scaffolding there. He knew the glass was there, but I don't think he knew about the scaffolding. And then when he got there, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the final spot. And he's like, bro, I'm afraid of heights. I don't want to get up there. So if you notice, if you rewatch it now, you will notice he did not fully stand up. He got to the top and he was kind of hunkered down because he didn't feel comfortable standing straight up to do the spot off the top.
Okay. Wow. And they were excited to go through that much glass. That was like the record for glass.
Oh, for sure.
And still is.
That's a historic match. Everyone talks about. Everybody talks about that match. Like when I came back from that show, I'm like, you got to see it. Oh man, it was. Yeah, that's one of those matches. That's one of those matches that if they said drive to Ohio, there's only going to be one match, watch it and come home, I'd probably done it.
But yeah, it looked like it was literally raining glass for 20-25
I know. And they just kept going on and on. I don't know. It was just coming out of glass was just showing up out of nowhere. You're like, all right, that must be all. Pulling out more. I don't know where it was coming from.
And you said it took 3 days to clean up?
3 days to clean up all the glass. And because like I said, it was 800 pounds of glass. And obviously I didn't get it all. Stuff still falling from the rafters 3 months later.
Now, when those guys came back to the dressing room, when they both, like one walked out and then another one walked back, what did they do when they went back there? They were just like, everybody was cool. Yeah, we actually had a pizza party right down the road after the show, and then Drake stayed at my house that night because I had to take him to the Greyhound station the next day. So, okay, but when they went after that match, they went in the dressing room. Was everybody excited about it? Were they giving them?
Dude, I was. Yeah, everybody was. Like, I got goosebumps. I'm not gonna lie. Like seeing that live. I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing something like that live, it gave me goosebumps. Not just because it was my show, but I'd never seen shit like that before.
No,
really.
no. They stole the show on that one. That was good.
And I do remember Pondo telling me that night I ruined glass for other promotions. So.
Oh God,
Never again, right?
What did you answer him with that?
I just laughed. I mean, I guess I never thought about that. Like, most places had only done like 4 panes at that time or something like that. Four corners of paints. So yeah, you really didn't see more than 4 panes of glass. So
I see what you're saying, but someone's always got to go higher and higher.
Yeah. But I have seen some YouTube posts where people accuse that of being candy glass, which it was not. It was actually tempered glass.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Were the owners of the building pissed off at all?
Oh, well, like I said, they were since the first show, and that was not my last show there. There was one more. Higher Ground was the next show, but that was the last show because they were just being ridiculous with the rent. And I remember bringing 2 of my own tables, and we brought chairs to smash. They charged me for my own shit. Like, we smashed 2 tables and 4 chairs, and they charged me $210 because I smashed tables and chairs in their building.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
They were just trying to get at
Yeah. They just didn't want me there. So
horrible. If we could rewind for a little, go back for your Rebirth show, you had a Pondo and Viper at it again in your main event for the Rebirth show. Any story behind that?
No, that was just, let's see, we took a hiatus from Higher Ground was July of 2010. Yes. And then January was Rebirth. Raven was supposed to be there, but I don't know if you guys remember, that's when Hogan and who was it? Was that when Dixie bought out TNA? I'm trying to think how that played out because Hogan and those guys fired Raven. Raven was booked on my show. Raven called and had to increase his pay because he was terminated from TNA, and I couldn't afford his new fee, so I had to nix that. But that was going to be a surprise. Raven was going to be at the show, and it bummed me out so bad. I'm an old ECW, Mark. I'm not going to. So if I could get any of the guys, Tommy Dreamer, any of those guys on my shows, that would have been awesome. So, if I remember right, the Pondo and Viper match was just a fans bring the weapons, wasn't it? A rebirth.
I think it was the Four Corners of Pain.
Okay. So yeah, Pondo's a good dude. So if I can, I'll book Pondo on every show I have for the rest of my life. And when I had the card show last year with memorabilia and we brought in wrestlers, I brought in Pondo. Pondo's just an awesome guy.
Oh yeah, he is. He's a big horror movie fan too.
Mm-hmm.
He is. Yep. I've seen him at Horror Hound. Have you guys ever heard of Horror Hound? It's a big convention in Cincinnati every year.
Yeah, they go to that. I think Toby and Brain Damage, they all used to go to that stuff.
Yeah, and actually they booked Mox. I think this last January, Mox came in to sign autographs because, Mox is from Cincinnati.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, well, I know he moved out to Vegas for a while, but I'm pretty sure he's back in Cincinnati now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he moved back to Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
Oh, probably to be closer to the AEW because AEW doesn't really go out to West Coast anymore.
Yeah.
Everything's on the East Coast. Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, wow. Sheesh.
I was going to ask him, did you ever get a guy that doesn't know etiquette? Don't mention a name. Have you ever had experience with a guy that doesn't know locker room etiquette? Maybe he's a young one. You got him on a show or, he's not that, and he doesn't know. Yeah.
Taking pictures.
Being annoying. Have you ever had that experience of a guy that just doesn't know how to etiquette of the locker room and what do you do? Or has anybody straightened him out or what's that?
Outside of the first show, no. There was a kid I remember because, I brought in Corp and Too Tough Tony. And this kid contacted me. Like I said, I was kind of green. And anybody contacted me that claimed to be a wrestler, I'm like, yeah, you can be on the show. Like, what's your pay and all that. This guy claimed that Corp trained him. So I brought him in. And when he got to the building, Corp's like, who is this guy? I don't even fucking know this dude. so yeah, this kid had never been in a wrestling ring, I guess. And he was telling me, sending me all these emails like, yeah, I was trained by Corp. I worked with so-and-so, yada, yada, yada. And then he came in, he froze in the ring. I don't think he was any kind of douchebag backstage, but he basically froze in the ring when he got in the ring because he'd never been in a ring before.
What?
So
what'd you do? So what happened? What did he end up doing?
Corp fucked him up pretty good, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch it. He went back. Okay, so sometimes those can be more entertaining than a trained guy.
Oh, yeah. They definitely.
I could never understand people that aren't trained and they're so eager. I think they might have something in their head thinks I can do that. Yeah, give me a chance. Like you want to do stand-up comedy. Like let's say. You think you're funny and you're like, and then you bomb, but you're not getting beat. You're not hurting yourself. You're just embarrassed. But in wrestling, you do go out there and not know what you're doing. You can get hurt by the other guy because you're making him look bad. Right.
Yeah.
Any other,
pretty much everybody on my shows knew everybody else. I was accused a lot back then of running what they call super indie shows because I like the talent in CZW and all the big independents that I was bringing in guys that when the indie message board was a thing, everybody's like, well, he won't book me because I'm a local. He's just doing super indie shows. But I mean, those are the guys that I thought would do well. So that's who I chose to bring in.
Okay.
Yeah, you did have some really impressive cards, from what I've seen.
If you guys watched Higher Ground, that's one of my favorite shows. And there was no blood on Higher Ground, if I remember right, because it was basically a lucha show. It was, Shima brought in a kid named Lowrider. I don't even know if he still works now, but I think that might have been his first independent show. And he did well. M-Dog was on that show. And like I said, the main event was Shima versus Ego. That was a great match.
Oh man. Yeah, M-Dog's been around for a while, man.
Yeah, I love him. He doesn't work as much anymore, correct?
I believe, yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
don't see him much around.
Sometimes you look up their schedule and they're all over the place still doing shows. These guys are all over the place. Some of them.
It took me a long time to figure out that he was in Lucha Underground. I did not know that was M-Dog.
Oh yeah.
He was Son of Havoc. I did not know that for the longest time. That was him.
Yeah. He was.
Do you know how he came to CZW?
I do not.
Rebel. Remember Rebel, CZW Rebel?
Yeah.
He passed away. Rebel put on a show. Rebel was with CZW, but he used to do his own shows. He did a show in Westchester, Pennsylvania, an armory. And they used a ton of CZW guys like Wife Beater and Zandig and
Greg Matthews.
Yeah. But they brought in 5 people that made it to CZ that Zandig signed up immediately. The Briscoe brothers, they were not in CZW, but they were on this show that Rebel put on. The Briscoe brothers, M-Dog, and Josh Prohibition. They were jumping off the balcony.
Okay, yeah.
And Ruckus.
Okay.
And then Zandig's like, I want all these guys. And he started using all of them over and over. So they came from Ohio all the time, both of them.
Yeah. See, I followed M-Dog and Josh when they did all the Backyard Wrestling DVDs. That's how I got turned on to him back in the day. Because, yeah, they're from Cleveland.
Well, that was almost like a tryout show for them. They wanted to – all those guys showed up at this show, and they wanted to impress Zandig, and then they all did, and they got on the show. That's where they became members of CZW.
That was big back then. You know, he wouldn't put anyone on the show.
Oh, yeah. But they were on Rebel show, and then Zandig was there wrestling him. That was great. That was a good show. I wish I could see that on tape. That was a good show.
Another thing about Higher Ground that I almost forgot, which was awesome. So I wasn't doing great on ticket sales, and the night before the show, somebody called and said they wanted 80 tickets. And I thought they were like fucking with me, like who wants 80 tickets? It turns out it was a church group from Logan, Ohio. They wanted something to do for everybody in the whatever they were doing, and they chose that event to come to. So they bought 80 tickets. We put them on one side. Like I said, if you watch the DVD, at one point M-Dog jumps over the barricade and sits in the chair, and these girls are just like ripping him apart, and those were like church kids. So it's really insane to think that, and I told him, like, we cuss on the shows, we do all kinds of stuff. I don't think this is right for a church group. And like, we want to come, we want to do this. And they were the loudest of everybody because, people like us have seen everything.
Yeah, they were excited. Right.
You just sat there and you watch waiting for like one really cool spot or something. But these kids had never seen shit like this before. And they just went ape shit the whole night. It was really awesome.
Oh yeah, people weren't exposed to it. They're like, "Oh, I like that guy," and they'll boo him. Other guy. Those are the best fans. He just came up with an idea. You can go to organizations and say, "Hey, boys in club or something. I'm selling wrestling tickets. We'll sell them to you for cheaper if you buy 20 for all the kids to go." Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the kids want to go. You know what I mean? That might be a gimmick to sell tickets. Instead of trying to sell them to people, also try to go to organizations and say, well, here's my card. If you want like 20 tickets for $10 a piece, I can help you out. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
No, it is.
My shows were more on the R-rated side that I was even thinking about back then. You could approach schools, have them put in the classroom mailboxes, and the teachers distribute flyers for you. But my shows were more adult oriented, so I really wasn't pushing my shows to kids.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because a teacher would get in trouble. Oh my God. Well, no. A lot of people, when they hear wrestling, they don't know. It's funny because when CZW used to come to Delaware, the local fans that I heard there's some wrestling, and you could tell they stick out like a sore thumb. It might be a woman with her 2 kids that are like 12 and 8, and you're like, they've never been to a show. She doesn't look like she's a soccer mom looking lady. And when they go crazy and glasses flying, I always kept an eye on them just to watch. And they're like,
what I get myself into.
I would even go up to people like, hey, I've never seen you on one of these shows. Where'd you hear? What you hear? Oh, I don't know. They told me there was a flyer and it had wrestling, and the kids want to go to wrestling. I don't want to go to Philadelphia, so I'll take them to this. Oh, okay, good. Thanks. Have fun. Yeah. Then when the wrestlers come, the average person is not used to having two giant guys throwing themselves 3 feet from you. You know what I mean? Like, we're used to that. We get out of the way, or we get in it. I hand necro chairs, things like that. But to the average person, they're like, whoa. It's, to them, it's like they're in the middle of almost a mini riot, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think like they think. But so it's surprising to them. They're protecting their kids, you know. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. It's great, you know, bringing someone new to a show and like Mike said, getting their reaction or seeing them how they react to it, you know.
Yeah, funny thing. I got a girl waitress that I got. You know, she's younger, and she's talking to me about wrestling, and I'm like, I'm telling her to go to this TOD, right? I said, you like wild? So she said, yeah. I'm like, bring you and a friend, and we'll get you in. And then, but we want to interview a fresh face that knows nothing about death matches at TOD. And then we'll interview them, the girls, and they'll be like, I never seen anything like that. Oh my God. Like, or, you know, well, what do you think of that guy? He's crazy. You know, like, just to get view of people that never been to something like that.
Yeah.
I think that because we're used to it, but other people, you know.
Yeah.
I was up at my cousin's up in Massachusetts, and I was showing them some of our interviews, right? And it was flipping to Mickey Knuckles and stuff. They didn't believe it was real blood. A
lot of people.
I had to finally show them an actual gusset plate being used and blood coming out. Then they believed it. No, there's blood in that thing. I'm like, no. And the other one was like, no, that's real. They're really doing stuff. Yeah. And yeah, they never seen anything like it. But they don't even watch regular wrestling, so it's way over the top.
Yeah, I fell off for quite a few years. I'm trying to get back into WWE now. I do like AEW, I guess, because, like I said, a lot of the independent guys I followed back then are now in AEW, it seems.
Mm-hmm. We're in a good area. We went to an AEW show in DC. It was a great show, wasn't it?
Great show, yeah.
Papa Briscoe wrestled. And then they had the Ring of Honor show about an hour and a half in Trenton. And that was really good.
Yeah.
You see the Ring of Honor AEW show?
Yeah.
That was incredible. I was at that. And then they're coming to Philly. They're coming to New York. Yeah. If you live where I hate to say if you live where we live, they're always in Baltimore, Philly, Washington, New Jersey, New York. You're real close to it.
We're like an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
And actually, didn't Ring of Honor start in Dayton, Ohio? I thought when it first started, I thought it started in Dayton.
Philly.
Philly.
Oh, it was Philly? Okay.
Yeah,
it was at the Murphy.
Because I remember they used to come to Dayton quite a bit back in the day, and then they had that Rockstar Wrestling, I think, up in Dayton for a minute.
Oh yeah, I've been to that. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they used to bring in the clowns, ICPs, to come to the Rockstar shows.
Yeah, that's in Dayton.
Yep.
No, I think it was the Chris Brothers. It's a small place. It's not that big, really.
Yeah. The Chris Brothers were the tag champs there for sure.
Yeah. It was in. I went with Lee one time. I think we went to something, and we ended up there at one of those shows. Yeah, Dayton, Ohio. I mean, you get stuff, but the East Coast, there's so much, man.
So
it's
much
like,
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
like we're gonna do TOD at like 2:00, and then 8 o'clock they're gonna do ICW Danny DeManto's ICW.
Okay.
And you got XPW.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy as hell.
Yeah, now that Pondo doesn't do the IW East Coast anymore, Michael Tawney runs it. Do you guys remember Fat Ton at all? Fat Ton and Vance Boy.
Yeah.
Fat Ton. He used to be the announcer for a lot of my shows and Pondo shows.
Okay.
He took over IW East Coast when Pondo moved, but he doesn't do shows as regularly as Pondo did when Pondo ran it.
Okay.
Did you go to the last Masters of Pain?
Yes, last year, right, with Schlack. And
It was who won it? Akira won. Akira.
Yes, I was there. Yeah.
No, that was a good show. I made the drive out. I drove out for.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was good. They had the chick fights earlier in the day.
Yeah. Well, I didn't come to the first show. I think I got off work and just ran straight down for the second show.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I really liked the venue. I really liked that venue.
Yeah.
Kind of brought me back in time, but I really liked it, and it was different. It was different. It was different from anything in this area.
Yeah, I'm thinking about contacting Tawny to see if he cares if I run in that building because, like I said, I do want to do Death in the Valley. I can't do Blood here, and that's only an hour and a half away. But I would have Tawny's blessing to run in that building. That's his building, basically, in my eyes. So, because Death in the Valley was supposed to happen May 20th of this year, and then I had to cancel because I just couldn't find a building that would allow blood in Ohio. We have a very strict ban on blood. Somebody told me it's because of the guy that did the 40 panes of glass match.
What about outdoor shows?
My brother does own 60 acres of land, but there's still legalities I'd have to look at because that is an option. But I think a show can still get shut down if it has blood. I mean, I just really need to make sure everything's good. The last thing I want is to have people show up and the show gets shut down. That's the last thing I would want to happen.
Well,
so West Virginia doesn't have a commission, right? They don't.
That's right. So Kentucky does. So I can't run in Kentucky. Ohio has a ban on blood. So West Virginia does not have a commission. So I could run in West Virginia, which is only 45 minutes from me. So.
Oh wow.
That is something I'm looking into.
And like I said, that place had a really nice, a really nice feel for it. It's like way in the back of the road.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time there, and I really enjoyed.
The only bad part about that building, there's no reception, and IWTV or SmartMark can't do live streaming for the event.
Nothing. Yeah, I remember that.
I am looking into, like I said, my brother owns 60 acres of land. If I could do an all day music festival and wrestling, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you could call it an art show. I don't know if you could get away with it down there, but if you call it an art show.
Well, see, AEW just did a show in Ohio, and they had fucking blood from hell, and I'm like, how? Well, I guess they can afford the fine. That's got to be what it is, because they had a televised death match, and there was blood everywhere, and that was in Ohio. But if you have money, I guess anything's possible.
Well, I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the outdoor shows because I love outdoor tournaments because you can walk around like TOD, and Carnage Cup is coming back too.
Yeah. I think the only thing that scares me with outdoor shows is if it pours down rain that day.
Yeah. That's the only thing that can go wrong.
So the name Ohio Hatchet Wrestling, what made you come up with that?
That's really obvious, I think. So Violent J has never sued me, so I'm a juggalo, and I got with a kid in 2006, I think, and we ran a website together. The website was called OhioHatchet.com. He passed away, and I took over the website. And then when I started forming the wrestling promotion, it was just an easy transition to go from OhioHatchet.com to Ohio Hatchet Wrestling. So that's what it was. So he went in for lap band surgery and never came out. It was crazy. Like, you would think lap band surgery, it's not a big deal, but they put him under for the surgery and he just never woke up.
Whoa, sorry about that.
Oh,
yeah. But we actually met at a Tech 9 show. So like I said, we were juggalos and just met in line to start bullshitting with each other. And he said he needed somebody with web design experience, so we just hooked up and did website stuff for a while. So basically in the beginning it was just like juggalo news and independent wrestling news. So that's when I started following Absolute Intense Wrestling in Cleveland, AIW, and I would contact Pondo, and we would post flyers on the website just so people knew about the shows in Ohio and West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So,
now you used to go to all you went to all the gatherings they had in Ohio?
In
Most
the
of them?
beginning, yes. And then 2005, '06, and '07, I think they did in Garrettsville. I didn't go to the Garrettsville shows because of whatever job I had at the time wouldn't allow me to take that many days off work. But I didn't go to the first gathering. I went to the second, third, and fourth. And then I went in 2010. And then after that, a few times. But yeah, actually, the gatherings are here in Ohio a lot now. So
Yeah. Peoria.
yeah, it's like 45 minutes north up in Buckeye Lake is where they've been having them the last few years.
Yeah, they're crazy. The wrestling's good. It's really the money's worth compared to these rip-off concerts that they're charging hundreds of dollars to go to see anybody for 2 hours. I don't. It's still under 200. I don't know what it is, but
Probably,
it's worth it for 4 days. You're getting.
Oh,
Those juggalos-
yeah, 24 hours. There's always something going on.
Yeah, you're going to get your money's worth.
Oh, yeah.
And think about the Gathering Juggalos. You really don't even have to be a fan of. You could. I mean, you might like wrestling. You can go there for wrestling. The concerts. You might not even like ICP's music. There's so much to do there other than that. I mean, and if you're a people watcher, go there.
Oh, yeah.
Just sit there, take a chair, and just sit and watch. And you're like, oh, wow, what's happening? You know what I mean? You'll be entertained.
Yeah.
If you're not entertained, like
You won't
nothing
be
will
entertained.
entertain you.
Yeah,
Like,
nothing will entertain you. I agree.
Yeah, I've been to over 200 concerts, and ICP really stands out as the best times of my life. Going to the gatherings and just their shows in general.
oh, me too. Well, what other concert? What do you go to? You probably like all kind of music, right?
Oh, the Misfits by far is my favorite band.
Oh, I was at the show in Newark, their reunion show about a month ago.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I flew out to Denver for the out to Riot Fest, and then I went to Riot Fest in Chicago for the reunion. Then I went to the Sam Hain show, and that was in 2015, if I remember, because they did the Sam Hain reunion the year before the Misfits reunion itself.
I saw this. I saw Danzig open up for Soundgarden in a small club in Philadelphia
Okay,
years ago.
yeah. Actually, Danzig was the first band I met backstage at the Newport in Columbus, Ohio. That was the second show I've ever been to. And it was from the first album, and yeah, they were. I had no knowledge of meeting people at the time, like etiquette. They were eating at a restaurant next to the venue. I walk in just to go piss, and I saw them. I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's Danzig. So they actually signed my ticket stubs for me and stuff. But later on in life, you don't bother people when they're fucking eating, So
Yeah,
so they were really cool about it. But I was fucking 17. I didn't know shit, back then.
See, if I was famous, I would sign. I mean, either if I didn't want to sign, I would be like, let's get the food and take it to a hotel. But if I'm in the area, it goes with the territory.
Yeah, I see that but I also see if you're eating, the last thing you want is people just running up on you and stuff. But yeah, if you're making, like Joe Burrow is like a big deal here in town. He just signed for, what was it, $55 million a year. He can't come to town. He has to wear disguise because he just gets hound dogged so much when he comes back to town to try to visit his friends and family,
Who is that?
Joe Burrow, he's the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah.
So he's the hometown guy. He literally grew up a mile from my house. So the night of the draft, like there were so many cars just driving past his house, just to beep the horn or whatever when he was getting drafted by the Bengals. So it's just crazy how people fall all over famous people,
Yeah. There'll be a time like 10 years from now, he'll be retired. He'll walk through the mall. People won't even recognize him. You'll be like, or some will, but most, like, I don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't. Yeah.
I mean, there's certain, no Tom Brady, but, if I was, you could be the top receiver, and I'm like, is that, I don't know, I don't even know if I'd recognize Jerry Rice. I'd be like, are you Jerry?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't do a double take, certain people you'd know.
Yeah. And outside of their uniforms, there's a lot of people. I mean, I watch sports, but there's a lot of people, if they're not in their uniform, I wouldn't know who they are if I passed them on the street, because normally you don't expect to pass somebody famous on the street like that,
Right. So you're not expecting it unless you. Well, the basketball players, because they're tall, so you're like, okay, that's somebody.
Yeah.
But even them, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, them. But
Yeah.
you could be the starting guy from the Knicks guard. I don't know what he looks like, but he's famous. He's a top player. He's one of the top, whatever. Hockey, I wouldn't recognize any damn hockey player.
Yeah, I don't watch hockey at all. I used to for the fights. I mean, that was cool, but yeah, I don't follow a team or anything. Baseball, when I drank, I don't drink anymore, but I used to go to baseball games just to get shit-faced, eat hot dogs, and watch a game. So.
Have you seen the prices of these things now? I go to soccer games, and even when I went to the AEW show, I now take pictures of the beer prices. They're up to like $18 for a 24-ounce beer. No, hot dogs are like $8.
Yeah. Only like $9 a beer, but which is still expensive as shit, but still.
You're in the Midwest, in the East Coast, in New York, anywhere in the East Coast, it's overpriced for beer. Ridiculous. I mean, really high. Like you wouldn't believe it. I mean, they can't do that in Cleveland, Cincinnati. They won't do it. But the East Coast, they just jack up the prices for. I remember we went to Detroit for a football game and some Hallowicked. I went with Lee, and we stayed, and then we went to a game and the Hallowicked show, and we parked at the stadium. It was like $10 or something. I'm like, what? It was inner city Detroit parking was like $10.
Yeah. Now it's like $40-$50 to park.
Well, now they've made it bigger. Yeah, but
I think I heard it. Taylor Swift, she sold out Cincinnati 2 days in a row. I heard parking was like $1,000 a car or some shit like that.
What?
Yeah. When I went to the Super Bowl, it was like that. I went to the Super Bowl when the Bengals went, and it was $1,000 to park at the Super Bowl.
What?
So we took an Uber over, but fuck, even the Uber ride to the stadium, I think it was a 10-minute drive. They charged us $100 each way.
Wow, that's taking advantage. See, that's
I
would walk or ride my bike. Buy a bike and ride.
Bro, I was not walking in Compton. There's no way. So for whatever reason, the stadium they built there was it was Compton and Crenshaw. They like pretty much put a $5 billion stadium right in the middle. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, yeah, I was not walking in Compton or Crenshaw to the stadium.
I'm not paying that kind of money for parking.
That's crazy.
I won't pay. I mean, I go out of my way not to pay for parking.
Yeah, if you could get away with it, why not? Sheesh.
But outside of the Misfits, Guar. Guar's one of my favorite bands.
They play The Gathering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
How was it at?
I started listening to them in '85. Rocky was supposed to, or Odorous was supposed to be on one of my shows, and then everything just fell apart. So, but yeah, he was supposed to enslave the wrestlers. And then, have you guys ever heard of a band called Skeleton Witch?
No.
Okay, so they were real big in this Ohio area. They were from like Cleveland and Athens. So Guar was supposed to enslave some of the wrestlers, and then Skeleton Witch was going to come in and be the face. And then they were going to have, it was going to be Team Guar versus Team Skeleton Witch. That was the whole plan. And then something happened where Odors couldn't come in, and just everything fell apart. But I was really stoked about that, having Guar come in for a show.
Oh, wow.
So that's something I don't think anybody else ever knew, that I had the flyer created and everything for the show, and then shit just fell apart.
So much work.
I tell him I just paid my $20 and sit in a seat. I couldn't go. I'm OCD and paranoid, and it would drive me crazy trying to run a show. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not in my nature. My nature is to go there and do these interviews, things like that. But I can't sit there and deal with it. I just can't. The minute I heard some nonsense going on, I'd be freaking out. You're pretty calm.
Yeah, I try not to let it get to me, but I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes you put so much work into it, and then you have the fans crapping on it, or someone that doesn't even, know about your product talking crap on it. That always bothers me a little. I try not to, I know sell it, but
it used to bother me. It used to bother me a lot because like you said, you put 8 months to a year investing and setting things up, and then people can just bash it. Like, you know, the whole candy glass thing. Somebody's like, well, that's not even real glass. I'm like, dude, show up to a show. You know, like come to a show and tell me it's not real glass. We'll put you through a pane of glass if you want. But they think since it doesn't break off in huge shards, it's fake glass. Well, that you know, we try to be as safe as possible, you know, without killing people. The last thing you want is somebody dying on your show. So you use the tempered glass that breaks off into small pieces, not shards of glass. Shards, you know, I mean, look at what was it, Nick? Remember when he got impaled by the light tube?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You would never think that was going to happen. Like you can't plan for that shit, you know.
Oh yeah, they're unpredictable. The tubes. I've seen Drake got cut with a tube. Dustin Lee. Was that the Nick Gage thing? The helicopter came down. And then other things too.
So many. Drake's nipple. When he
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
What about when he almost lost his thumb too? When for a Carnage Cup. Yeah, they're unpredictable, them light tubes.
Yeah, I remember there was a TOD in DJ's farm, and Masada got cut, right? And he could feel, and he was like, they were all over the ring, and he was like, oh, did I touch it?
Yeah, you're good.
He was like, oh, he knew he got cut, right? But you know when it's around your neck, you don't know how bad it is. You know if it's somewhere else, you're like, yeah. But he couldn't see it, and he was like. And I'm like, it's not bad. It's not bad, man. It's not deep. It's not bad. He's like, okay. Like in the middle of the match, I calmed him down. I'm like, look, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Because your adrenaline's so, your adrenaline's up. You don't even feel it sometimes. And then after, it's definitely scary.
Right. But me telling him that calmed him down. He automatically calmed down. If it would have been squirting, he would have known. But he knew he was cut. But it's like, I'm like, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think one of the worst injuries I saw live was a Pondo show when Thumbtack Jack came in, and it was the razor board. Like, yeah, razors, they're no joke. I do remember Thumbtack Jack's back being pretty sliced up from that.
Oh, wow. What do you think of the gusset plates? That's relatively new over the last few years. That is ridiculous. That's like 100 little spikes all at once. Those are.
And Ryuji Ito, I think when Ryuji came in for Pondo show, they did they took a trampoline and made like a spider web of death. I remember that. It was all barbed wire. They took off the springy shit on the trampoline, and you know who else was at that show? Pat McAfee. He was the kicker. He ended up being later the kicker for the Indianapolis Colts. He's a huge. Well, of course you guys have seen him in WWE recently, right? Pat McAfee. Yeah. So. He was a Pondo show that night because he went to college in West Virginia. So he let, I think it was Pondo or Necro staple a dollar bill to his forehead, if I remember right that night. So he was really cool, actually. So I do remember him being there.
But at a Masters of Pain?
Yes.
Which one of the early ones? Who do you remember?
It was 2008, I believe.
Charleston?
Yeah.
Huh. I might have been. I probably was there.
I mean, he wasn't on the show, like, because nobody really knew him, but he was just there because he lived in West Virginia at the time.
Oh, and he knew about deathmatch. He was a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's a wrestling fan. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Oh. I went to one of his shows, the St. Patty's Day show. Thumbtack Jack was on there.
Okay.
And I think Thumbtack Jack wrestled Sami Callihan on the show.
Wasn't it? I'm trying to think.
And then Pondo wrestled Bailey in a barbed wire bat match.
Okay.
And that's the only matches I can remember. But it was fun. I like the drive. We'd stopped and seen the Mothman statue. Good times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another guy I still kind of hang out with when I get the chance. Do you guys remember the Jugulator?
Yeah, Jugulator. Yeah. He Jugulator.
Jugs is a great guy. Actually, he's the one I went to the Misfits reunion shows with. Like, he's a huge concert buff like me. Like, we were going to a lot of concerts. He went to a lot more than I did because, like I said, my work doesn't permit me to take a lot of time off. But I did definitely hit up the Misfits shows and stuff like that with him. But he's gone out to California to see Faith No More reunions and stuff. But yeah, me and Jugs have kept in contact over the years, and me and Pondo for the most part. That's pretty much the only guys I still keep in contact with. Elkview Adam, do you guys remember Elkview Adam at all?
Yeah, he was from Alabama, wasn't he?
No, he lives in West Virginia, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he did Carnage Cup.
Yeah, so I still talk to him. But we don't meet up a lot. But he did come to my show last year when Pondo and Toby were there, or that sports card show. It wasn't a wrestling show, but yeah, we still talk on Facebook and try to meet up. But everybody's just busy now, it seems.
What about Viper? I haven't heard from him in a while. How's he doing?
As far as I know, Heath still lives in Rutland, but I haven't talked to Heath in years.
I think he injured something and he stopped wrestling for a while.
That sounds about right. I don't even know if he still owns the ring anymore, because he owned that ring that we all used.
Yeah. He used to tell me that.
Yeah, because Pondo used Heath's ring back then too. All of us used that same ring pretty much.
That's a good investment, a ring.
Oh, yeah.
If you got it, and then you get a group of people that you can
rent to on a regular basis. Yeah.
And if you're a wrestler, you get booked for the show and you tear down the ring and
Yes, it is. I mean, but then you got to think about the wood. You got to change the wood every so often, wear and tear. But yeah, I mean,
but if you rent it for $500,
I
mean, I don't know how much it costs. If it's even if it's $10,000.
Back then it was 300 shows, what it was back then. So yeah, now it would make sense. It would be probably $500-600.
It'd pay for itself.
Yeah,
it would end up paying for itself. But you got to store it. But if you're that type of guy, you want to do it.
Yeah. How much is a high spots ring now? Like $6,000-7,000 probably.
6,000-7,000 for a regular one. Like 3 or 4 for the low boys.
Yeah. So if you rent it out 10 times, it pays for itself. Yeah.
Right, and then you can buy a car, and then you can buy you could get a rental truck, and then eventually get your own. It'd take a while. If there's money to be made in wrestling if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. With
the merchandise, the hustling, the driving people and things like that. And you get a guy like, hey, I can get you on the show, but you got to be on my ring crew. Hey, I'll use my ring. You can use my ring, but you got to use 4 of my wrestlers. I mean, you can really make
But yeah, that's a lot of the money I made off the shows was merch, because I had my own line of T-shirts, hats, toboggans, all that stuff. So that's even hard to find now. Somebody that can do that for a fair price.
Everything's going up,
Yeah, because I remember back then in 2010, I was paying $7.50 a shirt. So I'm not sure what it is now, but I'd say it's way more than $7.50 a shirt to have them made.
Well, we got these Foreman Mill stores here. You can get these shirts for like $7 for $10. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have Foreman Mills out there?
No, I don't.
The yellow insignia with the pink.
No.
Oh, man, you hit a Foreman Mills, you'll get some good deals, won't you?
Really? Nice.
Yeah, look it up when you get a chance. Look it up on. In fact, Undercover Boss did an episode of that. Foreman Mills.
All right.
It's they're usually in the inner cities, but you can find interesting things there. Interesting. Like I found some Dr. J stuff. Nice. The basketball player Julius.
Yeah. Okay.
Where'd you get that? He had his own line, and it didn't sell much, but it ends up at Foreman Mills, and it's still cool.
The Kappa.
Yeah, the Kappa things I had. Yeah,
they got some good deals.
Mm-hmm.
So in a perfect world, say if you ran Death in the Valley next year, what would be some of the names you'd be going after?
Oh yeah.
Well, I already had that book, so I could tell. I don't know if I want to tell you the names I had booked.
Okay.
I'm not ready to move on.
Ludark. I'm really big on Ludark right now. but she was busy. She wasn't going to be at the May show because she was busy. But are you familiar with Ludark at all?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
XPW
absolutely.
champion.
Yeah, even before
So-
that, you know, it was a
So
big
yeah,
fan.
I'm kind of big on Ludark right now. The plan was to bring Wax in as a one-time thing because remember he retired. So I think you guys saw he did a show like earlier this year. Did you guys see that at all?
Yeah, he jumped off a
XPW.
balcony in XPW.
Okay. So I think basically he wanted to do Death in the Valley, so he was going to do a couple shows before mine to kind of get back in the swing of things. He did the one show and he's like, fuck this, So yeah, it's hard to do big spots as you get older, but I love Wax. Wax is awesome.
He used to be in the like 2002, the photographer for CCW.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
At Sewell, the Sewell Arena, and he
Uh-huh.
would sit there taking pictures. And then all of a sudden, he started wrestling. We're like, whoa!
Yeah. I'm
And
also
CCW was weird. You'd see a fan, and then he'd be a wrestler. You didn't even know he was training in it, like Little Mondo and Jimmy Lloyd and those guys. Then they become wrestlers.
yeah.
Chris Cash, all those guys. Yeah.
I'm big on Remington Roar also.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we interviewed him.
Oh, did you?
He's good.
Watch that. That was very intriguing. That guy loves doing this stuff.
Okay, if I remember, I think he's from Southern Ohio, down near Cincinnati. So yeah, Remington. Who else was I looking into? Of course, Eric Ryan and that whole clique. Those guys. Trying to think who else I contacted that couldn't do the show. Because I can tell you guys that. Because yeah, I think I want to stick with the lineup. Of course, Pondo. I love Pondo. Yeah, off the top of my head, those are the people. Who else is up in Cleveland? There's some brothers that the Kogars.
The Kogars, yeah.
Yeah.
Kogar, Atticus. Yeah, those guys are good.
Yeah.
They might be hard to get because they're doing so much stuff all over the place.
Yeah, I contacted Atticus, never heard back. Like I said, I know they're super busy with scheduling. I talked to Eric. He was going to do the May show if he wasn't in Japan. But like I said, the show kind of fell through at the time. So I don't know if he made it over to Japan or not.
Well, there's a lot of guys in New Jersey with H2O and things like that are up and coming deathmatch guys, and they do a real good job.
Yeah.
If you watch IWTV, do you watch that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, H2O guys are good. A lot of those guys are good. Anthrax, Christian Ross,
Chris Bradley.
Yeah.
Matt Tremont.
Girls too.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it amazing the girls, the level that what the girls are doing these days? We never would have thought that.
Yeah, I've seen some female matches that are way better than actually some of the male matches. And I think you can't classify them separately anymore.
No,
because it's great to see that. I mean,
right.
I think to me, Mickey started that whole thing. Mickey Knuckles. Like you didn't see a lot of female wrestlers back then, like you do now, and I think she started that whole thing.
That was a big deal for her to get into the her first.
Didn't Pondo encourage Ian?
Yeah, yes. She was like, I want to do it. Ian's like, no, I want to do it. And Pondo's like, let her do it. She wants to do it.
Yeah. And
now
Pondo's trained a lot of people that have come through. Didn't Pondo help train Billy Starks?
I believe so. He started putting her on the shows, the girl fight shows.
And then remember Sarah,
Crazy Mary.
Crazy Mary.
Yeah, Pondo met Sarah. If I remember, I was at one of the gatherings because she was a juggalette, and then he trained her, took her over to Japan and everything, and had Sarah trained.
Oh yeah. She was even in a Carnage Cup show one time.
Yeah, and now she's married to who's she married to now? The
One
guy.
of the Viking guys.
Yeah.
Had a baby. Yeah, she's a good kid too. I like seeing people that make it big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask him. So you were friends with Brain Damage too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remembered him too. We would hang around in a lot. He would hang around with a lot of the guys when he come to CZW.
Yeah,
What do you remember?
Toby and those guys, right? Like that's who he ran with that I remember. He was on a. That's how I met him. He was on this one-off show. I can't even remember the name of the promotion. It only lasted one show, but Brain Damage was on that. Corey Graves. He was. What was his in-ring name back then? He was on the show actually, but it was at an old Kmart building. But yeah, that's the first time I met Brain Damage was at that show, and Jugulator was on that show.
Well, any memories of him? Because a lot of the fans really liked him back then. What do you remember?
I just remember he was always polite, always a good guy. So you see these, you guys have been around the business longer. You see these big, buff guys, hardcore wrestlers, but they're always so nice.
I
One
know.
thing it took me to get used to was the handshake, like the limp-wristed wrestling handshake. So
I do that still. I do that.
Yeah. So, but it's just funny to me that you got this 350-pound guy and he comes up to shake your hand and it's so gentle. And you would think he'd come up and just, bring it in there, So.
I do that handshake wherever I'm at. Let's say I go to a bank and set up a credit card or bank account. The lady puts out her hand. I do it. I do it just to like mess with her. Like, what's this guy doing? What kind of handshake is that? But I do it like, just to. John Zandig does that handshake.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's so late. Like, I mean, have you ever met Zandig?
No, I have not.
A lot of people like him, and they like to meet him because he's such legendary promoter, and so he's a guy got an aura about him. You know what I mean? He's kind of got an aura, like, and he does. You can just do. The lighter, the better.
Yeah.
You ever shake his hand? Does he do that?
Yeah.
Do you do it to him too?
Sometimes I forget, but he does.
He brought Zandig and Necro in for and Schlack and Drake, all of them signings in Philly.
Okay.
Got over pretty good with those. Yeah,
we did the dinner.
Did the dinner. Did you see the Schlack attacking Zandig in a Chinese restaurant?
I have not seen that.
Oh, that was the Zandig,
Zandig
fan dinner. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out.
It's supposed to lead to an angle, but never. No, you had the Zandig dinner on YouTube, isn't it?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, watch that. Yeah.
Okay.
Talks about wrestling.
Yeah, it talks about a lot of Japan's time in his time in Japan.
Uh-huh.
A lot of good stuff, good memories.
Yeah, Marvin was a very quiet guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I think Remington Roar is a big fan of Brain Damage.
Okay.
And when we were doing the interview with him, I mentioned to Remington Roar how nice a guy he was and he would appreciate it. He says, well, that's good. I'm glad one of my idols was a cool dude, because you hate to know that a guy's an asshole. You're like, oh, that guy I really liked. Oh man, you should. And then you find out that he's not, he's a shithead.
I'm glad, but yeah, I think everybody that's ever showed up at shows or anybody I've met, I think there was one, I don't know but he was a WWE guy that I brought in after he had left WWE. So, yeah, he was pretty rude to the kids, and that's why I brought him in to sign autographs and stuff. He was kind of rude to the kids and all that. So, but I won't mention his name.
No, you don't have to mention his name. But when you say don't mention it. When you say rude to the kids, you mean he did autograph signing?
He didn't want to. When he got to the building, he didn't want to sign autograph. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to hang out in the locker room. And I'm like, dude, I brought you in to sign autographs, intermission. So yeah.
Did he get the money to the autographs, or you paid him a flat fee?
I paid him a flat fee. Well, it was supposed to be a flat fee. And then when he got there, he told me I had to pay for gas in his Hummer because he had 2 poodles in the Hummer. And he wanted the air conditioner on for 4 hours so his dogs didn't get hot. So I had to pay for gas for his Hummer. And yeah, it was kind of a mess.
He was doing the old veteran trick probably. Like, look, milk him. He's an indie promoter. Just get whatever you can from him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going to bring you back in again. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes.
I know. It's almost like they're trained to do that. Like, didn't you hustle them for gas money? Well, Oh, you're an idiot. You should have
Yeah,
hustled
you
him.
should
Yeah.
One thing that I remember that I regret now is my first show, because I kind of overbooked things and strapped for cash, and then Corp was on the phone and he's like, I got a buddy, he wants to come in for the show tonight. He's in the area. Do you have room for him? I was like, no, I don't. It was Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson.
Oh, wow.
Really kicked myself in the ass for like, no, I don't have room for him. So that would have been awesome.
That's crazy.
Isn't it funny? Those legends, now these guys are millionaires, and then we knew them when they were making like begging to like, I'll be on the show for free. I'm going to wrestle. I mean,
it's yeah.
I wonder what he wanted. What was he trying to get paid?
I don't remember. It wasn't much because he said he was already in the area and he was just to stop by the show or whatever. So
but he wanted to wrestle?
Yeah. I don't know who he wanted to wrestle though, but Corp was on the phone with him. That I just said no, we don't have room, and that was the end of it basically.
What year would that have been?
That was 2009.
Oh, 2009. Oh, he was an established guy then.
Yeah, on the indie scene, but yeah, that was definitely before he had signed with WWE.
Right.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I mean, until you're with WWE, you're still making minimum money. It's hard to make the money.
Of course. You have anything?
No. Well, so do you have anything? Are you still selling merchandise? I like your insignia with the Ohio map.
Okay, man, this kid designed that for me. He used to hang out at the IWA East Coast shows, and I've actually tried to contact him to pay. He never asked for money, but I've had that logo now for 13, 14 years. And what was his name? They called him Suspect. That was his nickname in the IWA East Coast clique. Like, he hung out with all those guys. But I don't even know how to contact him. But yeah, he did web design and designed that logo for me. I think it's awesome.
But don't you have any shirts?
I don't have shirts anymore. My DVDs still sell through SmartMark. They still send me checks. So I do
your shirts?
Checks in the mail from Death in the Valley.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So but you could look. You got the insignia on. I've seen it online. You could get that made.
Oh yeah. I mean, my plan is to come out with new merch. I want to do some jerseys when I come back. So yeah, I do have some pins. If you guys want some stuff to give away, I'll mail you some stuff that I have still. I still have stuff.
We'll pick up some merch from you for sure.
Yeah, I have like stickers and like pins. I still have some stuff.
When are you going to put on a show?
I'm still looking to do it. I work in a hospital now. A couple of years ago, it was easier for me to book shows. When I go into work, an 8-hour day can turn into 16 hours. Like real quick.
Right.
So, because we get mandated and we never know when we got to stay over. So I think right now it's really hard, but I really wanted to do one this year. Like a lot of people, like, when I see the stuff on YouTube and people still contact me, dude, I think that's awesome. I haven't ran a show in 13 years and people still talk about it. It just blows my mind. It really does.
Well, if there's any fans out there watching this video and you're in Ohio and you want to work with a venue, right? Contact you or?
Yeah, like my big thing, I really want to pick up sponsors. That alleviates a lot of the pressure off me, to pick up sponsors. I've done concessions before where I have vendors come in, they'll pay me to sell food. That helps out, So yeah, I think I've done sponsorship pamphlets where I've created those, but I haven't approached anybody yet until I want to get a venue. That's my holdup right now is a venue.
Okay. Well, there might be a wrestler watching this or somebody that can help you out. Can they contact you?
Oh yeah. Like a lot of people have me on Facebook. There's a couple who runs Ruthless Pro. He's out of Michigan, right?
Chris. Yeah.
Okay. So I know of him. I think he may have contact me. So many people have contacted me saying, hey bro, if you can't find a venue there, come up here. So that's cool that other promoters nowadays, more like back then it was territorial, like a lot in Ohio, I think. Now, like I've had several people reach out and say, if you can't find a venue in your areas, you can run up here. But the only bad part is there's a lot of people here locally that want me to do a show. I don't think they would drive the 4 or 5 hours to a show, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, like a doubleheader. That guy Chris did a doubleheader in maybe Michigan.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get in. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, but he's from Ohio too.
well, people know you're out here trying to run the shows again. If anybody, you know.
Yeah, I would like to set something up where, you know, to bring Ohio Hatchet back to do a couple run-ins on somebody's show, you know, just a basic beat down something just to set some kind of storyline up. You know, I don't want to come back in just dry and just run a show with no promotion, of course. So
that's what we kind of did. You know, thankfully, Dilf let us do some angles on his show, and we set up Dilf and Trevor from CWF PWA.
okay,
They helped us out. We crowned our champion on their show. We crowned a champion on Dilf's show, and you know we have a show coming up October 20th. We got we got Fandango, Jordan Oliver, Christian Ross, Chris Bradley, Pondo, Hardcore.
Yeah, Pondo's coming in.
Yeah.
So many names, like drawing a blank right now, but you know, thanks to some other companies, you know, we kept our name somewhat rev.
Okay. Yeah, I did reach out. Okay, there was a promotion that came around in 2010, I think it was. I gave them all my contacts, like the ring rental, workers, all that. And I contacted them this year to try to set up a run-in, and they weren't having it. And I was like, really? I fucking helped you guys set up your whole fucking promotion, and you won't let me do it. And I told him, I said, I'll pay you $200. Let me do a run-in and just a basic beatdown to set up Ohio Hatchet. And they're like, nah. I'm like, really?
Oh no.
Yeah, so yeah, that's just the area I think I live in, is because I would always help people out back then, you know, which is probably stupid, you know.
Well, I know. There's nothing worse. There's no worse feeling, and it doesn't even have to do with wrestling. Someone you do something for, and then when you ask them a small favor, like, nah, I can't do it, nah.
Yeah.
Wait, I drove you to the airport 5 times, and you can't drive me to the train station. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, nah, I don't want it. Like, well, I'm going to a movie tomorrow. Well, wait, I need you. Can you just go to the movie later? Is it leaving the city and you'll never see it? You know, that's annoying.
Yeah. Now, is your show going to be on 9WTV?
As of right now, no. We're going to put it on DVD.
Okay.
I mean,
Smart Mark.
I'm sorry.
Is Smart Mark filming it?
No. DVD Violence. It's going to be out through DVD Violence. Trevor Price's company.
Okay.
But I mean, someone did reach out to me. I mean, it might be on their platform for IWTV. I mean, we're still going over stuff. So as of right now, there's no set plans for it to be on.
Okay. But it will be released on DVD to purchase, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, you guys can send me any links for anything, and I mean, I've been out of the game for 13 years, but if I can promote you guys anyway, I'll do it.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You get an itch to get back into it, huh? Just to run a show, huh?
I really want to do a one-off, even if it's just one more show. I want to do Death in the Valley, but I was thinking, since I can't find a building that allows blood, I could do a couple family-friendly shows just to get the name back out there and garner interest again. So I'm not opposed to doing regular shows, but Death in the Valley definitely will sell more DVDs than a regular show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, yeah.
Absolutely.
Nowadays.
Yeah. And like I said, I still get checks for Death in the Valley. I don't think I get checks for any of my other shows.
Wow, that's something. Yeah, I mean the family shows or the regular shows, they're I mean, it's not good wrestling, but if you're gonna buy something, you're gonna buy something special that you can't see.
Yeah. And one thing for the regular shows is you're going to bring in the families. You know, you can bring a kid to a regular show and not worry about the blood and all that. And light tubes have always kind of freaked me out, because if they hit each other the wrong way, that shit's flying out into the crowd, and I really don't want kids getting hurt. So I've always been leery of light tubes and that kind of thing. So yeah, to bring in the families, of course you're going to do like the lucha shows with no blood, because who wouldn't want 4 to 6 people as opposed to just 1 or 2 guys that love the deathmatch scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Do you have any questions for us?
And it's hard to get sponsors doing blood. I mean, I've already ran into that, contacting people. They're like, we want no part of deathmatch. so it's going to be easier to get sponsors if you do the non-blood shows.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like non-blood. I mean, I like all shows. If it's good wrestling, I like it. Like,
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, take Drake for instance. Drake and JC both were hybrid workers. They could do a great match without blood. They did.
Yeah.
Danny Havoc's another one. I mean, Danny was fucking awesome. And there's so many guys out there, even now, the newer guys, that they don't need to do blood. But I think a lot of people now are bloodthirsty. Once they got a taste of the old deathmatch stuff, the newer kids want to see that shit live now that didn't get a chance to see it 15 years ago.
No, I know. It's a rare breed of person that does death matches. It's a special guy and girl. Because when I showed it to people that never knew about it, they're just like, I don't know. I can't believe this happened. I showed it to an old girlfriend years and years ago, like 20 years ago. She swore that like these people are being held captive, being forced to do it. It's like a gladiator thing. It's like nobody would do this on their own. Nobody would do this. They're being forced to do this. This is some weird thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then because you just can't,
Yeah, sure.
It's one of those things that in life where you're not used to it and you go there.
And you're like,
and then, and then the people that are there are used to it. Like, oh, this happens. Like a good example. You ever seen a video on the YouTube of like in certain parts of India or somewhere where they're on the trains and they're on top of the trains?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's normal to them.
Yeah.
Right? If you jumped on the top of a Amtrak train, it would be on CNN, man, on the top of Amtrak train. The station, Philadelphia station is down. The whole Amtrak line is being shut down because there's a man on top of the train, right?
Yeah.
But in foreign countries, they get on it. I don't know how they stay on. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then look this up. Most people on a motorcycle, and you'll click on. I've seen pictures, videos. A man, his wife behind him, a baby on the gas tank, a baby, another kid on the handlebars, another one sideways, I've seen up to like 7 people on a motorcycle. You seen that?
No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out.
I mean, it's what's normal in one area in somewhere is ridiculous somewhere else. Yeah, look that up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. Well, what you mentioned music earlier. Who do you guys have a favorite band, favorite concert you've been to, or anything?
Favorite concert? I have to say, I went to in high school. I snuck out and got tickets to a System of a Down surprise concert.
Okay.
It was at a little venue, and this is right when they're Steal This Album. No, was it Steal This Album? The one with Bring Your Own Bomb. That was their hits.
Yeah, I was never big into them, so.
Okay, but yeah, it was that, and it was such a small venue. We got in there, and it was just crazy. Like everyone was just mosh pitting. Hands down, the best concert I've personally been to.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I like a lot of bands. I like the ICP. I like
ICP.
Cottonmouth Kings. I like Ramones. Look, if you went through my CD collection, it would be old punk rock, new punk rock, some country, hip hop, heavy metal, thrash metal, hair metal, Carpenters, Paul McCartney. It's crazy.
Yeah. I grew up on 80s metal, so yeah, I'm always going to steer towards, I think, 80s. Slayer. Slayer was the first band I partied with. They invited me on the bus and were dumping pitchers of beer down my throat. So Slayer's always going to stand out to me as one of my favorite bands I've ever met, because like, who gets to party with fucking Slayer? It's awesome. So, and
I've seen them.
Yeah, and the Clowns, ICP. My kids are so spoiled. So outside of wrestling, I did band photography for a while. So I would, get backstage at war shows, ICP shows, and all that. So I remember my youngest daughter was 8 years old, just hanging out backstage at ICP shows. Like, who can say that at like 8 years old, just hanging out backstage at concerts? So, and then I found out what bands they liked, and I'd always get like backstage passes or press passes to take them to shows and shit.
Well, how would you get those?
Just contact the bands or their management
and ask for like an all-access pass.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was just I don't even know how that got started, because a lot of people ask me like, I've met Ghost. Are you guys familiar with the band Ghost at all?
I saw them. I saw them with Mastodon.
Yeah, so I saw them before anybody knew who they were, and they were on stage like going through rehearsal, and I'm like, is this the opening band? And the sound guy's like, no, that's Ghost. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm seeing them without their gimmick, So it was just kind of cool to see them before anybody else knew who they were, Kind of like Kiss growing up. Nobody knew who Kiss was, in the 70s.
What about Dio?
Dio? Ronnie James Dio?
Yeah.
I fucking love Dio. Yeah. Like I said, Black Sabbath, Ozzy. I'm gonna cry like a baby when Ozzy dies. I fucking love Ozzy.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah,
here's the picture.
Ozzy's not doing well right now, I think.
Can you see the picture of all those people on a motorcycle?
Yeah. Okay. So where's that posted at?
Can you see? It's like some country. All right,
okay.
Now you see that?
Yeah.
That's a city street. That's not a prank or nothing. That's 7 people on a motorcycle in I don't know where, it's some foreign country.
Uh-huh.
They're on it like it's nothing. 2 men, a woman in the back, 2 kids on the gas tank.
That's safe.
No, but there's tons of pictures like that on here.
Yeah.
Just Google people on motorcycle foreign. So what would be, and look at that, look, 7 right there. It's unbelievable. What's crazy in one world is completely normal in another one.
Yeah.
In fact, if you were in that country and you were by yourself, they'd be like, why are you by yourself? Why aren't you bringing somebody? What are you, crazy driving by yourself? That's like driving a bus for no reason.
Have you guys seen the videos where they have a guy stand in the middle and cars are doing donuts, try to get as close to him without hitting him? Have you seen?
Yeah, that's in Philadelphia every weekend.
Yeah, and then when people get hit, they just get launched like 30 fucking feet. Like,
yeah. They're having trouble with that now in Philly. In Philadelphia, they do it. And, they get hit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm going down the road. Now, the big thing, I don't know if they do it where you live. They love to go about 150 miles an hour on the highway on the motorcycles.
Oh, wow.
Cops don't even stop them.
The cops can't stop them.
I seen that happen right out here.
One little pothole. One pothole.
Yeah. You're done, dude.
Yeah. Think of all the things that you've hit while you're driving, like a pothole or like what was that? A piece of tire. You hit that on a motorcycle, something that much, you're going flying.
Yeah. Well,
or you're going to lose. And once you do this with the motorcycle, you're done.
Driving that.
They don't think.
When people mow and it shoots the grass out on the road, it's easy to lay a motorcycle down with wet grass on the road. Even that's why I know here in Ohio, you get a fine if you mow your grass and throw it out onto the road, because it's very dangerous for cyclists.
Oh, okay. Well, these are the guys on the highway going 150.
Oh yeah.
They do that where you live?
I haven't seen it, but Athens is kind of small town. Like Columbus is the biggest city closest to me, would be Columbus.
I've been all over Ohio. Columbus, Dayton, Peoria. Ian ran a show in Peoria tournament. Ian Rotten wanted a King to Death match in tournament. I think Bailey was in that. want it. Toledo's pretty cool. I like Dayton. Dayton has a great Air Force museum that you can go to.
Yeah, I've only been to Dayton a few times. I know here in my area, like if you like hiking, the Hocking Hills area, like when Thumbtack Jack was here, I took him hiking because I guess he didn't get to do that shit over where he lives. So he really enjoyed that.
What food did Thumbtack Jack like that he had over here that he never had anywhere else?
Oh, wow. I can't even remember. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what it was now. Didn't he talk about it in that interview that I did with him? Maybe he talked about it in that video, in the interview I did with him. I have to rewatch the interview.
Okay, yeah. We like to talk when we do the interviews. We ask people like what restaurants they have. Like we had a girl from Canada. She never been to a Waffle House, or people from the West Coast we've interviewed. They don't know about certain things here, Wawa, and different things. Where do you eat out there? What do you have out there that you like?
Any place that has chicken wings, I'll try. I love chicken wings. So if I find a place that I haven't ate at that has wings, I love it. There's a place like maybe a mile down the road is called Shade on State, and they have really good chicken wings and what they call like loaded fries. So you got your fries, chicken wings in the fries, like boneless, and then your sauces, bacon, all that shit. So
you have Waffle Houses where you're at?
The closest one would be Columbus. We don't have a Waffle House here locally.
Athens doesn't have a.
No, and we just got a Steak and Shake a few years ago. We didn't even have a Steak and Shake until a few years ago.
We lost our Steak and Shake in Middletown. They closed it.
Did they?
Yeah. Nobody went to it.
It's a college town, so when the students are here, pretty much all the restaurants close at like 7, 8 o'clock at night because the students' money is what funds this town, basically.
Right, University of Ohio.
Or no, that's in Columbus. That's OSU, Ohio State. Here in Athens, it's just Ohio University. It's
Ohio University, right? Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah.
Waffle House. You got White Castle.
White Castle in Columbus. Nothing down here.
Man, Athens needs.
I hate White Castle. I guess I'm not the norm. Like I don't like White Castle.
Okay.
I'd say Shade on State's one of my favorites here locally. Longhorn Steakhouse, of course. I love steak, but mostly I'm not big on the chain restaurants. I like to grill my own stuff out. Steak.
Yeah, I cook on my own. We just like to talk to different people about what they have, and and they don't know about certain areas that we go to all the time. Like Wawa's. Do you have Wawa?
Yeah, no Wawa. So I'd say, the big thing is if you guys ever come to town, go to Shade on State because that's where it's at.
Shade on State.
Shade on State. Okay. Wawa's a convenience store to make subs. Everybody out here loves it.
Yeah, I think the close one. Columbus, like I said, is where it's all at. Like Sheets, we don't even have a Sheets around here. Do you guys have Sheets where you're from?
Not here, not in Delaware, but Pennsylvania.
Elkton, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're getting our first Buc-ee's, but that's going to be in Columbus. So Buc-ee's are really popular down south. Have you guys ever been to a Buc-ee's?
I've never been to a Buc-ee's, but everyone talks about it.
Yeah, they've got 120 gas pumps at each Buc-ee's. It's just like a huge fucking gas station.
Yeah, we gotta check them out. I gotta check them out.
Buc-ee's and Sheets.
Buc-ee's and Sheets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all we have. Hey, Larry, thank you for being on here with us.
Yeah, like I said, it was an honor. Like when you contacted me, I'm like, why the hell did anybody want to contact me? How did you even hear about me?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How did you even hear about me? Like I haven't been.
Well, we were familiar with your stuff. We watched a lot of your shows, but we got to thank. I got to give a shout out to Anthony, the Deathmatch News guy. He's the one who said, hey, he watches our stuff, and he said, hey, why don't you interview Larry from Ohio? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Hit it. Let me know what he says. And I think he hit you up, right?
Okay.
Anthony.
Maybe. I don't know who hit me up, but I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. So I think I've only done one interview when I was running the promotion, and the guy set me up. So when somebody first contacted me, I'm like, this probably going to be a setup to bash my promotion. So I did a radio interview when I first started Ohio Hatchet, and then as soon as I got on the air, and he's like talking shit about blood matches and how I'm the cause of spreading Hep C and
oh God, really? What'd you do?
Not me. So
well, what did you do when he started all that shit?
I went ahead and I did the interview. I wasn't going to hang up or anything, but I just thought it was funny how he told me all this shit before we got on the air. He's like, this is what we're going to cover. Everything's going to be cool. Then he gets me live on the air, and he's like, aren't you worried about Hep C? He's like, do you have medical insurance for all your workers? And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, he's going a little off guard, out of bounds.
That's not cool. That's not cool.
Yeah, no, we never do that.
No. But yeah, thank you for being so cool. Ohio Hatchet Wrestling, it's going to be making its return, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely like we talked about earlier, the newer guys. Remington, I love. I want to get Remington on show. Still trying to get Ludark. Pondo will be there for sure. As long as Pondo's not booked somewhere else, he'll always be on my shows. Because I at least owe Pondo that, because like I said, without him, there would have never been an Ohio Hatchet. And some guys probably wish there would have never been a Ohio Hatchet, so they can blame Pondo now.
Pondo. That's all I have. Larry,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Larry, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, good luck with this.
Good luck.
Good luck with the show. And hope everyone out there contact him.
Yeah, I'll keep in contact. If I do a show, you guys, you're on the list. You guys.
Okay, good.
We'll be there. Good.
Oh, have you guys heard of Blako? He does a lot of YouTube shit, and he's posting a lot of old school death matches and doing his own commentary thing about the older stuff.
Oh, Blako. Yeah, I know that guy. We know that guy. Blako.
Okay.
Yeah, I met him.
He's out of Florida, I think.
He was at TOD last year.
Okay, yeah, I think he's out of Florida though. He drives up to these shows from Florida. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he flies up sometimes with his dad. Yeah, Blake. Oh, yeah, he's really knowledgeable. Oh, that guy loves deathmatch stuff. Yeah,
he does. And somebody posted vignettes of Death in the Valley years ago. His YouTube handle was just Deathmatch Video. Can't remember who the guy was, but we had corresponded a few times, but I just can't remember what his name was. And these kids used to come down from Cleveland to all my shows. One of them was a rapper. I remember that. But yeah, it's just weird how this brings people together. Like you, Mike. I would have never met you. You came to my show, And Elkview Adams is the one that came up to me. He's like, fucking Delaware Mike's at your show, dude. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So it's just cool. It's just cool to look back on that shit now, and how people come together through deathmatch wrestling or just wrestling in general.
Okay.
For sure. It definitely brings everyone together.
Yeah, I don't even know how I found out about that show. Maybe Viper told me about it.
Did you come in with Wax? I thought you came with Wax.
No. I drove to Columbus. I flew. I don't know what happened. No, I think the next day was a Juggalo show, right?
Yeah, in Columbus.
No, I drove on my own, and then went to the JCW concert and show.
Okay.
Piper told me about that, and then in fact, I even helped set up the ring with some guy. Yeah, cool. Everybody was back there, and then went to the show. I drove to your show, and then drove to that show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Elkview Adam. All right, that's cool. I'm impressed. I'm happy.
But yeah, we'll be at that show, Ohio Hatchet Wrestling. When you guys start back up, we'll be there.
Okay, so right now, what are we looking at? We're set in September. I'm hoping by spring I'll have a building. If I would love to get a building I can use continuously. It sucks to have a venue and then you move around because I feel people are chasing you. So if you can find a good venue, stick with it, So if I have any advice that anybody would listen to, don't move around. Because even my wife told me that when I started, when I lost my first building, it was hard for me to stay in one place. So it got to the point where people were chasing the promotion, and it shouldn't be like that. You should have a a set venue to run in. That way, everybody always knows where to come to.
Oh yeah, we've been like CCW moves all the time. They were moving everywhere, but it's not their fault. It's just
exactly. Yeah, because like I said, venues get pissed off for whatever reason or try to bump the rental up on you, and you just can't afford it. Like $600, but $600 now might be cheap. But yeah, when I was renting a venue, I think $200-300 a night wasn't that bad.
No, you won't get that now.
No, for sure.
Unless you know somebody that's in an organization, a fire hall or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's hard to find a place with high enough ceilings because you guys know that once you get the ring set up, you have to have good clearance. I mean, there have been people that said, "Hey, you can use my building, but it's just too small." Once you get the ring in there, if you can only get one set of chairs around the ring, like you're not doing anybody any favors. You're not going to make any money. For sure.
Very true.
Yeah. True. Well, you'll find. Well, like I said, if people watch this show, our millions of viewers that we get, and I haven't gotten a YouTube check yet. I don't know what he's doing with this income.
It's in the mail. Checks in the mail. Even though everybody's got Venmo and all that stuff now, checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Oh yeah,
you got to check your mailbox.
I'm calling YouTube tomorrow.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
No, thank
all right,
you.
Keep up with us. Keep up with him. He's got Valencia Society on his Facebook. I don't do Facebook really.
Okay. Yeah, you guys send me any links, and if I can help you promote it at all, I'll
thank you. Yeah,
appreciate it.
You'll like the Remington Roar. Well, you can put this on your Facebook.
Yeah,
you send,
no, I'm gonna send it.
The Remington Roar interview was really good. We did the one with Chris from the Ruthless Pro Wrestling, and
Absolutely.
You get to his thing, and you can look at all of them. Homeless Jimmy,
Drake Young.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Check it out.
So yeah, usually at work, I work night shift. So after I get all my cleaning done at the hospital, all I do is hang out on YouTube and shit. So,
or you can even listen to it on the earphone podcast. Oh, JJ Allen was pretty good too.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely check those out.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.